Hi, I'm Sonia and I'm here today with Dr. Charles Lee, a board-certified plastic surgeon in Kota Kinabalu. And we're here to talk about his upcoming new book, MindFLOW Ergonomics. So what made you choose this title of your new book?
Well, first of all, welcome back, Sonia.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see you again after 3 years?
Yes.
And you've come at the right time when we are just about to launch into something new. Your question is pointed because MindFLOW Ergonomics is basically an entrepreneurial ecosystem, which I felt that I missed out in my whole working life for the last 40 years. We all set goals, but I believe very much in building systems. The whole body is full of systems.
Yes.
When you talk about the brain, it's a central nervous system. You talk about the digestive system or cardiovascular system. And so we're all so much grown up and set in setting goals, right? But if we build systems in our life, you find that if all those systems are working, and I use this word ergonomically, you save a lot of energy, because one of the highest causes of burnout today or mental exhaustion is that we go to work and we get flat out tired at the end of the day because we have not learnt how to conserve energy, at the same time think right. Because when you're really stuffed up, you can't think right. And as a plastic surgeon myself, surgery can take sometimes hours. In fact, my longest that I've operated on was 11 hours.
Wow.
So you imagine you still have to stay in dexterity mode right till the last stitch.
Yeah.
So MindFLOW Ergonomics started off with a total vacuum in my whole working atmosphere. In other words, as medical professionals, we are always fixed in our mindset. We go to medical school for 5-6 years, we come out, we work as doctors, we specialize. It's so focused and fixed that we miss out on life. You don't know what's happening in the world. You don't know how to handle, what's going on. You get married, you know what love is all about until, you've had children running around and then you get punched in the face and then you realize, oh yeah, okay, so this is a different face. So we really live through transitions in life with no system in place.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer that if we talk about mindset, that means your mind is set in a particular way or mode that is hard to change, because you can't change what you do not know.
Correct.
And for many years in my own life, I wish I knew what I've learned over the last 2 years. And so I had to take a sabbatical to spend time with myself and really, have a good look at my brain. To know what's going on the inside, you see. And it's only now, because 30 years ago, Sonia, I was introduced to this whole term neuroplasticity. And I pushed it aside because it had the prefix neuro, and I'm a plastic surgeon. But today, it's all about brain talk. Today, it's about brain science. Today, it's about how do you have that genius mindset. Why are there not more than one Elon Musk in the world? Why do we know all these names? Why not Charles Lee? Why not Sonia? You know what I mean? We all have this capacity, God-given capacities, to live lives as if we were geniuses in the marketplace. And that's because we've never been exposed to this whole concept of what I call MindFLOW Ergonomics. Okay? So it's an ecosystem, and this system has got several parts to it, which I will elaborate as we go along.
Yeah. So why ergonomics?
Well, ergonomics, ergon, like plastic surgery. Plastikos is a Greek word. And plastikos means to mold.
Okay.
And cosmetic comes from a Greek word kosmetikos, which means to adore.
Yeah.
So you mold something and then you step back and then you adore what you have done. That's how you get the term plastic surgery or plastic and cosmetic surgery. So ergonomics comes from the Greek word ergon. And ergon means work. Okay?
Okay.
And nomics is law. Nomos.
Yes.
So the laws of work. How do you work in an environment where the unit of energy is work? You see, it measures it. So for example, it's usually used in the marketplace when it comes to designing. When you design a chair, you do it ergonomically so that there is no spine problems that result from that wrong built chair. Anything that you do and design has got ergonomics to it. So if I'm doing plastic surgery, for me, it's like a cleft lip child.
Yeah.
and then you got to kind of like design it in such a way that 20, 30 years from then, how on earth is this face going to look? So ergonomics is very much part of plastic surgery. It's about designing.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, and that's really the root of how I coined up this term to add it in to this book called Ergonomics. Yeah.
What about MindFLOW? Why
Well,
MindFLOW?
MindFlow, there must be a flow state in your life.
Yeah.
If there is no state of flow, we get stuck. And how many times we wish we can get unstuck from any situation that we got ourselves into.
Yeah.
So it's just like, the Sea of Galilee has an outsource. The Dead Sea is dead. So if you don't have an outsource in your life, if you don't have an outsource in your work, if there's no flow in everything that you do, you're going to end up with a state of dead sea where nothing lives. Okay, a dead fish can't swim upstream. You'll just continue to go downstream. So MindFlow really is the opposite of mindset as far as I'm concerned. It's just like in smart aging and anti-aging. I don't like the word anti-aging, and you know that. Aging is a side effect of living.
Yes.
So smart aging is how do we age but use all the intelligence that we have to age smartly.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's why you're a specialist in dermal science, because once you understand the science of what makes up the skin, you love yourself, you love your life, you love your skin, you're on a better winning ticket than those who are splashing their face with over-the-counter stuff. So MindFlow is really the key, I believe, to living an optimized life. You want to buy something, you want to design something, you want to make sure that it's working efficiently and it's optimized to produce a good flow.
Yeah.
That's called productivity. That's called high peak performance. You want to work in the marketplace at a performance level where you thrive for excellence. If you are working right now and you're not thriving for excellence, then you're second best. So this is the challenge when we come together in whatever we are doing in the marketplace, to really work in a way that we are conserving energy, because the brain has only one job: how to keep you safe and how to conserve energy so that you don't end up burning out and you don't end up mentally exhausted. So if you can live and work intelligently, at the same time conserve energy, you're on a winning ticket.
Yes.
And so that's how I felt that MindFlow Ergonomics should be a marketplace system, an ecosystem that people can take and learn and get skills at doing. Because, in my own life, if I knew the skills before pills, I'll have less pills on my table. It's just a question of exposure. So in the medical field, we are so fixed in our mindset that we are not exposed to what is happening around us. How do we handle our behaviors? How do we handle our thinking processes?
Yeah.
How do our thoughts turn into emotions, and those emotions turn into language? And how, instead of being, giving a sense of security to others, and encouraging them and inspiring them so they can trust you, I can be very toxic in my character, in my ways, because I'm reflecting my language of toxicity in my working place. So today it's all about, creating a safe environment, how to be psychologically safe in your workplace. You want to go to work where you feel safe, you don't feel threatened, that you have a voice that you can speak out, that you can be heard. And so really we are moving into a phase now, because it's actually the changes that are happening today, Sonia. It's like dancing on a moving floor. You see, you think you can handle life, but the floor is changing. The floor is forever revolving. Who knew pandemic that for 2 years we had to walk around with a mask? I did not know how my own staff looked like. I have to tell them once a week, put your mask down. I've forgotten how you look like, So, but if we are ergonomically optimized in our own sphere of life and work, we'll be a much better person. We'll have a better version of ourselves. We'll be able to unlock potentials within ourselves.
Yeah.
So that we live to the best and to the highest of our capabilities, which is why we are living and why we are working.
Okay. And you have this title, 7 Creative Zones of a Mindful Genius. So can you please elaborate on this? What do you mean by creative?
Well, I think the greatest gift in this whole zones that we are talking about is creativity. All of us have the capacity to be creative, but not everybody has got that, gift of being creative. But it's a skill that you can learn, you can cultivate. And so one of these zones is creativity. If you can, spend time creating that zone to be fully efficient and ergonomically giving you that incentive that everything you see, how can you create something better? Okay, I can sit here and be very creative how to rob the bank. You understand me? So there are many ways that you can use this gift of creativity, but I'm talking about your own life, to be a creative person. So one of the zones is creativity, which is C, and it's also about being conscious of thought, in the marketplace. So creativity is one, and then the next is R, and I love this word, which is very much in our plastic surgical field. It's called resplendence. Resplendence means dazzling bright. You want to live into your magnificence. We all have that magnificence within us. That, I've always said for many years, and you know it, that radiance is very personal. So if you can tap into the radiance that comes from within you, then life is resplendent, you see. So you got to be able to see the beauty of life in everything that you do. So if you tap into that zone of resplendence every day, you can't wake up with a dull face and a dull day. People make it dull. People make it difficult. People will come and sabotage your aim for the day. But if you are living from a zone of resplendence, you will see beauty in everything. And you will see the positive side of everything that happens to you, because that zone is operating. Okay, so that's the R. And it's from that zone of resplendence comes reprogramming, retraining, rewiring your brain. Things I never knew before, Sonia. And I'm able to see it now and see in a much more different perspective, that the thinking process becomes much more beautiful and dazzling. If you look at every opportunity that comes before you from the zone of resplendence. So that's the R. And then we have E, which is ergonomics. And with ergonomics, the biggest E of ever any zone that you would think about would be emotions. We are emotional people. And if we are able to manage our emotions, not control, but manage them well, we will stay away from all the disasters that can inflict your own self. I know the number of wounds that I have inflicted on my own self because of inability to actually manage my emotions. We are emotional people. Today they talk about emotional intelligence. I never knew emotions have any intelligence in it, because I never knew how to, manage my emotions well. I always thought my emotions were unintelligent. But the more I realized that, emotions are contagious. And, you talk about love, we talk about, all sorts of emotions in life. The question is, are we operating from the right side of that emotion? Okay, so that's the big E. And then, of course, T, we talked about tolerance. I'm into this big believer that there's one area of the brain that is going to be the next, in the frontier of medicine and neuroscience, will be the thalamus and the hypothalamus, because to me that's the engine that really feeds. It's a relay center, it's a relay station. And if you can love your thalamus as much as you love your heart, you'll be in a much more better position for mind flow, because it is from there that everything flows. You see, you have heard of the reticular activating system. So thalamus, T, and again tolerance, I'm still trying to put them together. And then I, of course, is innovation. If you have got that innovative mindset, innovative thinking, you'll be able to marry it with creativity. Because when you have a creative mindset and an innovative mindset, you're a genius. You're on the move. You're moving. You're going. And of course, V is the punchline. V is the real piston that keeps the whole mind in context, and that is visioneering. You see, because without vision, people will perish. And so when you wake up, what gets you out of bed every day is a vision. If you don't have a vision for yourself, where you would be in the future, and think that you can see it in the present, which you can't, Now that keeps you moving. It's not about passion. It's about your vision. Where do you want to see yourself? And what kind of destination do you want to reach? Because your destiny is already predetermined by your spiritual faith. So I always believe, Sonia, that when we talk about work-life balance, you see the seesaw thing that they show. The central fulcrum, which keeps that seesaw movement, that's the spirit man. If you take away the spirit man, you got a plank.
Yeah.
And you know what planks can do, right? It only gives you core strength. All right, so that's all you can do. You can't do anything else. You're just fixed in that position of a plank. But when you put a spirit fulcrum to it, then you can have that work-life balance. So I believe very strongly that work-life-spirit equation gives you the fullness of life in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So that's the creative, the 7 zones, and these zones are interacting, interoperating. They are intersecting one another. At any one time, you can tap into it, and you are ergonomically proficient, and your life is then on a flow. And once you have that flow state, there is no way of turning back. You're on a road of excellence. Okay, so that's basically how I came up. And to be a mindful genius is that we all have that capacity to think like a genius. Okay, so there can be an outstanding intellectual in the marketplace, but how do I get that outstanding intellectual to become a genius? And these 7 zones are definitely zones that I feel put you into a state where you're ergonomically, active when it comes to high performance and peak performance excellence. You need to have excellence in life. You see, that's the highest that you want to go. That's where you unlock potentials within you. All the saboteurs, all the doubt slayers, just slay them out. Because why? They are blocking your progress to reach where you want to go. So that's it. And I always talk about this concept of flea mindset. See, I had for many years a flea mindset as a doctor. You know the story about the fleas, right? They were put into a bottle and the cap was closed.
And
so they were trapped in the bottle for 3 days. And then they took off the cap and they took off the bottle and the fleas were still jumping in the same place. All right, so that's called a flea mindset. And then their offspring was also jumping in the same place.
Oh dear.
Okay, so you imagine that with a fixed mindset, you are just living in that same zone, and to get out of that zone takes courage.
Yes.
Okay.
Getting out of your comfort zone.
Getting out of your comfort zone. In fact, in the book I write that there are 3 zones you want to stay away from, and the first zone is comfort zone.
Yeah.
The second one, of course, is the inflammation zone.
Okay.
Because all diseases are caused because of inflammation. It's an epidemic. And the third zone is the red zone, which I'm familiar with in the hospital. Because when you're in the red zone, it's crisis time.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the 3 zones you want to stay away, and you want to move from that flea mindset into this creative zone of 7 flavors where you can use any one of them, operate at any one time. And be on the score of winning. So this is the mindset change that I believe should become MindFLOW, and I think that it'll be an interesting book for everyone in the marketplace.
But who are you targeting specifically with this book
You.
or the program?
You,
Everybody.
everyone. You see, because I just wish that I had somebody I was sitting there, and somebody here telling me that there's more than just a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
We need to have a growth mindset. Because when you have a growth mindset, you're open to change. You're open, you're vulnerable to take in whatever and learn from experience. I mean, learning is for life, Sonia, and life is for learning. So if you have that learning attitude, you will definitely do well. So it's for everyone in the marketplace. That's why it's an entrepreneurial ecosystem of zones that build you up through systems that are feeding one another. The body is working. I'm talking to you because every system is optimized for me to say and do and think the way I'm doing right now. So if your life is optimized in such a way that every system of these 7 zones is interacting and moving, and you can split think of what I call rapid cognitive thinking, and that is, even before you're thinking, you're thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like metacognition, thinking about what you're thinking. I mean, even before you start thinking, your mind is always going. And I tell you, this is a skill, Sonia, which you should learn, because I found that I can get a skin cancer,
Yeah.
and then within seconds I'll draw way I'm going to reconstruct it, and then I'll go and look for the correct ways, and I find the first few seconds of what I've drawn is the right way.
So it's like a puzzle.
It's like more than a puzzle, because you have solved it. You see, because you have used what is called rapid intuitive thinking, and you don't have to really, because the moment you start looking at it longer, you go into default mode, and then you'll come with all your plan, or this is how to do it, this is how to do it. So in life, it's like blinking.
Yeah.
Before you see something, you blink, and that is a gift. That's a skill that we can learn. And I think it's a good skill to learn, because you'll find that sometimes what you think and thought first turn out to be the right one, as opposed to allowing it to fester, and then you go into things that you think which may be wrong. So I think that's it. Yeah. So it's targeted for entrepreneurs in the marketplace, CEOs, business people, to find out how they can have a better version of themselves, a better option of life. And certainly to be able to add to society a much more productive form of living with abundance.
Yeah, there will be definitely an impact to their lives. So how do you see your life today after working 40 years in the marketplace?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a big question. And I wish I could redraw all the lines again. But I know I can't, but I can certainly live through that.
But it has brought you here.
It has brought me here. It's brought us together today. But there's so many areas that I wish I knew. From the flea mindset that I talk about to the genius mindset. Because if you're not aware, awareness is a big thing today. If you're not awareness of yourself first, if you're not at home with yourself first, you will find that you're forever living somebody else's life. And I think that is the key to a happy life. Is when I look back, I wish that I had been able to spend more time with myself. In fact, this is the key to every successful life lived, is to be able to tell yourself that you did your best. And for me, as a Christian, I want that final take-home call: well done, good and faithful servant. Because if you don't have that, then what is life all about?
Yeah.
So if you ask me if I were to live it all over again, I think number one would be relationship. How I would have been emotionally intelligent to handle, to manage my emotions, to get instead of them getting a better half of me. So I think MindFLOW Ergonomics would be the way forward to a better life and a better version of oneself in the marketplace.
Okay, so thank you for having me, and I hope you enjoyed the interview. This is for Dr. Charles Lee's first book, MindFLOW Ergonomics, and keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, and it'll be out soon, and you're gonna get a copy. Thank you all for watching.